This is WRMK, Deerfield, New Hampshire. WRMK News Radio. You're listening to The Riley King Show. Good morning and welcome to the Friday edition of The Riley King Show. Today is Friday, January 23rd, 2026. I'm Riley King, glad to have you with us. Here's what we're covering on the show today. Scott Brown's campaign reports a strong fundraising in the final quarter of 2025, while John E. Sununu's campaign says it brought in more than $1 million during the same period. We'll also look at new comments from a special counsel who says evidence showed President Trump engaged in criminal conduct, and mixed signals from Trump on a possible U.S. accusation of a Danish territory. Plus, a massive winter storm has more than 160 million Americans on alert nationwide. Let's get started now. First up, Scott Brown campaign reports strong fundraising in a final quarter of 2025. The campaign of Republican U.S. Senator candidate Scott Brown announced Thursday that it raised nearly $500,000 during the fourth quarter of 2025, signaling early financial momentum in New Hampshire's closely watched Senate race. Brown's campaign said it now has more than $900,000 in cash on hand as the former U.S. Senator and Ambassador seeks the Republican nomination, facing former U.S. Senator John E. Sununu in the primary contest. Campaign officials emphasized that contributions came from donors in every county across New Hampshire, forming the fundraising total as evidence of broader grassroots support. On the Democratic side, U.S. Rep. Chris Pappas is running for the nomination to succeed outgoing U.S. Senator Jeanne Shaheen, setting the stage for a competitive general election later this year. Sununu campaign reports over $1 million raised in the final quarter of 2025. Republican U.S. Senator candidate John E. Sununu's campaign announced Thursday that it raised more than $1 million during the final quarter of 2025, making a strong financial start to his bid for the seat. Sununu, who launched his campaign in late October, quickly gained momentum on the fundraising trail. His campaign told WRMK News Radio that it expects to report nearly $1.7 million in total fundraising across his campaign and affiliated entities for the quarter. Political analysts say the race could set a record for campaign spending in New Hampshire U.S. Senate contest, as Sununu faced former U.S. Senator Scott Brown in the Republican primary. On the Democratic side, U.S. Rep. Chris Pappas is seeking the party's nomination, setting the stage for a high-profile and costly battle for the open seat. Special counsel says evidence showed Trump engaged in criminal conduct. Former special counsel Jack Smith, who brought criminal charges against President Donald Trump in both Florida and Washington, D.C., testified that his office uncovered overwhelming evidence of wrongdoing. Our investigation developed proof beyond a reasonable doubt that President Trump engaged in criminal activity, Smith said, summarizing the findings of the probe. Trump sends mixed signals of potential U.S. accusations of Danish territory. Just one day after announcing what he described as a framework of a future deal, President Trump is now offering conflicting messages about whether the United States will move forward with acquiring the Danish territory. The uncertainty follows the president's decision to step back from earlier threats involving tariffs and possible use of military force, raising new questions about the direction and seriousness of the proposed agreement. Massive winter storm puts 160 million Americans on alert across the U.S. More than 160 million people across the United States are on alert as a potential catastrophic winter storms threatens to bring heavy snow and dangerously cold temperatures across the vast stretch of the country. The system spans more than 2,000 miles from New Mexico and Texas through the Midwest and into Maine. Several states have already declared state of emergencies as officials prepare for significant disruptions in hazardous travel conditions. Thank you for listening to this edition of The Riley King Show. Enjoy the rest of your day and talk to you all tomorrow. Bye now.